Hey booktube, my name is the Bookmaid, welcome back to my channel. It's once again my least favourite kind of video to film. Love prepping for them, love buying the books, hate doing the actual haul because I know that this is going to be another big one. I think I've got about like 50 something books to haul today, so grab a snack, grab a drink, or maybe watch this one in multiple parts. And let's look at some lovely new books together. So one thing I did in my last haul, which I feel like worked really well, was to split things up kind of loosely into categories. That way, if there's something that like you're interested in or not interested in, you can either skip to that part or like skip over things. Like if you're not interested in hearing me talk about vampire books, then you can just skip that section. I mean, I would suggest you may be on the wrong channel, but you can skip it all the same. And I'm determined not to end up with a whole separate just vampire books vlog like last time, so I'm going to try and manage my time better. So saying that, I'm going to start out this time with the vampire books because there are not as many as last time. I'm then going to open all of my subscription boxes, so that's Fairyloot, Goldsboro, Illumicrate. I have signed up to a couple additional subscription boxes, not that I need to, but I don't think they start just yet, so something to look forward to. After that I'll go through like my regular just normal books, and then I'll save all like the special editions to the end. So I will leave timestamps for all of these like loose categories, so if you want to skip, you can skip, because goodness knows, like, do you really want to sit through like another hour-long book haul? I mean, you might. I would, personally. But I realise I may be in the minority. So, starting out with vampire books, and the first book in my haul today is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Now, one of my like reading goals for this year is to read a lot of vampire literature, and part of that is me going back and sort of like reading a lot of very popular vampire literature that I've just never picked up, and also a lot of like new releases and like weird niche things that nobody else ever talks about. So this definitely fits into the category of very popular vampire book I have just never read, and I've also never even seen the film. Film-wise, I'm not like a massive fan of Stephen King, but I have never read a Stephen King book, so I guess this one is going to be my first. So from the back, this sounds like the main character has returned to a small town in New England to write a novel. There's this creepy old house where he apparently saw some kind of event, it doesn't really say what, but it's been rented by a newcomer to the town, and then things start happening. A child disappears, a dog is brutally killed, and the list of strange occurrences just keeps growing. So I don't know if you're meant to know this is vampires going into it, but like I feel like this is popular enough where literally everyone knows this is a vampire book. Totally unrelated, but like I adore this cover so much. So yeah, I guess at some point, probably this year, I'm going to end up reading like my first ever Stephen King book as well. This one should be interesting. Now this one, blast from the past, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone else on BookTube talk about this. This is Vampirates, Demons of the Ocean. This is definitely not the kind of book I would normally pick up because this is a children's book. I think the audience is for like young teens. I'll be honest, I know Americans say things like middle grade. I literally don't know what that means, my dude. To me, it's like you're either a child or a teenager or an adult, and like, so this is a kid's book. I remember my high school actually had a copy of this first book, not in this lovely hardback edition with, can we actually just admire for a second the insanely gorgeous artwork on the front of this? Like for a kid's book? Yeah, they did not have this edition, but they did have an edition, and I did read it, and I think I remember enjoying it, but I was like 11. But I did kind of think it would be fun, especially because I'm trying to read more vampires, to like maybe reread this, and like I don't really remember much about it. I think there's like a brother and sister. I think they like run away from their town like in a tiny rowboat and get swept out to sea, and they get separated, and I think the boy gets picked up by like a pirate crew and the girl gets picked up by a ship of vampires who are pirates, and therefore vampirates. I feel like the name of this book maybe came before the concept, if I'm totally honest, but I remember it being interesting. Like, it's pirate vampires. It's just undeniably cool, so I wanted to pick this up. Yeah, I might at some point like end up rereading this. I kind of think it would be really fun. Again, part of my thing about reading vampire books that nobody else is talking about is even picking up like, I don't know, the really kind of like old children's books. From that onto a newer release, the next book in my haul is The Lights of Prague, and this is by Nicole Jarvis. So this one I think came out like last year or the year before. Yes, this book does have one of those like printed on stickers that does not come off. So this one is obviously set in Prague. So this says, in the quiet streets of Prague, all manner of mysterious creatures lurk in the shadows. Unbeknownst to its citizens, their only hope against the tide of predators are the dauntless lamplighters, secret elite monster hunters whose light staves off the darkness each night. The main character finds himself stalked by the spirit of the White Lady, a ghost haunting the baroque halls of Prague Castle. It mentions like a secret power, a conspiracy, alchemical science. It sounds pretty cool. This is a historical fantasy. It also says it deals with class and the hunger for power, and it's apparently like, so I guess this is going to lean more to like the fantastical side than like just the historical side, which is appealing to me. I honestly was kind of drawn to this one by the cover. I really do want to visit Prague someday, and the concept of this one just sounded good, so it's on my TBR now. Honestly, it doesn't take much. Next to a completely new release, and I believe this one is self-published, and that is The Fear of Montcrat by Brian Asher. I am so shocked that I did not hear about this one coming out because, as you all know if you've seen my last haul, I very specifically want more vampire books that are high fantasy, and this is yet another high fantasy vampire book. So this one says, after a mission against the royal vampiric court goes horribly wrong, all of the Waywards are slaughtered, except one. Davian, the last surviving member, must consume potions to mask himself and hide among the very people who killed his brethren. After a decade of living this double life, he's resigned himself to his new purgatory, but all will not remain calm for him or for the court. An unknown swordsman arrived, and after killing several royal vampires, rumour spreads he's searching for anyone still belonging to the Wayward Order. Davian decides he must track down this mysterious swordsman, but will finding him mean freedom or his own demise? It sounds cool. It's very, very short. This just seems like quite unapologetically like vampy gothic. You know what I mean? It's giving me like kind of Castlevania vibes a little bit. It kind of has like JRPG vibes, but like in a good way. So I'm excited to read this one. This is very new. Yeah, it says 2023, there's not a month, but I think this came out either right at the back end of February or the beginning of March. So definitely one that I'm interested to pick up like while it's new. Okay, the next book, another vampire book, but I don't normally haul comics, graphic novels or manga. Even though I collect a lot, I have a whole shelf just dedicated to manga that like you never see because it's off to the side. I am going to haul this one here just because it fits with the vampire theme. And that book is Fangs by Sarah Anderson. First off, can we admire like this book? It's cloth bound, it's lovely, it's hardcover, and it has black sprayed edges, which we all know are forever my favourite sprayed edges. So yeah, this is a graphic novel, and I believe the plot follows a vampire girl dating a werewolf guy. Romantic shenanigans ensue. It's quite comedic, I've heard, but the art style looks really cute. Not the normal kind of thing that I haul on this channel, but I feel like it gets a pass. And the last vampire book I'm hauling today, which technically I did also haul last time but I couldn't find it. Honourable mention for this video is Vampire of the Mists by Christie Golden. This is a very old novel. This is the first in the Dungeons and Dragons, I think it's the Ravenloft series of books, and I think this one follows like an elven vampire, and it's set in the D&D universe. Again, look how just like campy and gothic this is. I love it. So I did talk about this in the last haul, so I'm not going to bring it up again here. I just wanted to say I physically have it. Okay, so vampire books done. On to now my monthly subscription boxes. So since I have 2 Fairyloot boxes, I figure we should start with Fairyloot. So I do not know what order these are going to be in, because one of these will be February and one of these will be March, but I don't know which. Okay, so our first box is Rotten Opulence. Ooh, we have some floral sprayed edges. That's looking pretty. Oh, I really like the colours on this. This is shiny. The Foxglove King, honestly, when I saw these floral things, it reminded me of, we just got like a floral book, like, I want to say last time, but it was in my last haul, so like it could have been from like 5 months ago for all I know. There was like a, was it The Last Tale of the Flower Bride? It's giving me like similar vibes. Cool sprayed edges. It's hard to see on camera exactly, but I really love this like dusty, like mauve colour, like this pinky purple. Not sure what the original looks like because I don't know this book. So these are the end papers in the front, and here is the back, and I don't know if it's just me, but like they're very dark. Like, I love this. So this has a really pretty wraparound sort of print. We all know that I love foils, and Fairyloot tend to really kill it with their foils. Like, they've been really good recently. So this is really, really nice. Like, it's simple, it's geometric, but I really, really like this. I think it's really effective. And I might kind of just be a sucker for, like, gothic arch windows and things, so I didn't even notice that. This actually has a reversible dust jacket. It is lovely artwork. Like, she looks fantastic, and I love the colour scheme. It's really nice to have the option. I've not seen them do that for any of their adult books yet, so it's kind of nice to know that they're making the adult subscription like as good as like the customizations of the YA subscription, because I feel like for a while the YA box has had like way more stuff going on, so I like the change that we're seeing. How long have I talked about this? And I just haven't even said what it's about. This follows a girl called Law. When she was 13, she escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire. So she runs like a poison shop like in the city's underbelly, and is then captured by the king, then thrust into the Sainted King's glittering court where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. It's kind of the same thing, but okay. She is guided by Gabriel, a duke turned monk, and continually running up against Bastian, the king's ne'er-do-well heir. So a love triangle, I guess. This does seem like it's going to be like, I'm guessing it's kind of like a an elven court, or it didn't really say that exactly, but it had those kind of vibes, so this might be kind of similar to like a dark fae romance. So one that I might pick up, because I have had some luck in the past with like fae fantasy romances, so we'll see. I do really like this like physical edition though. This is lovely. So onto our second box. So our second box is A Voyage of Chaos. I feel like I know what book this is because of like the artwork. I can't remember what it's called, but like I know the cover from like this design. So it looks like we might just have black sprayed edges this time. So, ooh, okay. I thought they would just do a colour change, which is what Fairyloot normally do. This is gorgeous though. This is like, it's very, I'll put the original cover here. This is like very similar to that cover, but it's all foil for a start, and I like this better. I like this a lot better than the original cover. I know there is like an American cover as well, but I kind of don't really like this cover. I think the artwork is fantastic, don't get me wrong. It reminds me a little bit of like the old school like Discworld like covers, but something about it I just don't like as a book cover, and I feel like nobody else feels that way. So yeah, I vastly like, this is fantastic, this is beautiful. Oh, and they're not actually black sprayed edges. So these are, this is beautiful. This reminds me of like, kind of reminds me of the Odyssey, to be honest. So this follows the adventure of Amina al-Sarafi, who is a smuggler, pirate, blasphemer serving up human hearts for her sea beast husband, and a sorceress. Oh, okay. Stop. Okay. Oh my god, okay. I just need to show you what I've just seen. Not only are the end papers a map in full colour. Oh my god, they're foiled. They're foiled. So stunning. This might be the best end papers I have ever seen in a book ever. A beautiful full colour foiled fantasy map. Oh, every one of those way to my heart immediately. This, aside from the fact that this is just like a gorgeous map, and like the character artwork is lovely. It just feels so like storybook and fantastical. I love that. Is it the same on the back? Oh my god, the back's even better. It's a cat. Oh my god, a foiled full colour fantasy map with a cat. It literally could not have been more perfect. Oh, that's gorgeous. So the foil, I guess, is the phases of the moon. Oh, with a little crab as well. This is gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Okay, this is, I don't even know what this is about yet. This is by far my favourite Fairyloot book we have ever received. I don't even know what it's about yet, but like, this is insanely gorgeous. Let me see what it's about. This says Amina al-Sarafi has survived backstabbing rogues, vengeful merchant pirates, several husbands, and one actual demon to retire peacefully with their family. So like, we're definitely getting pirates. I already know there's going to be a cat in it because it was on that map. Actual demons exist? Yes. Oh my god, I cannot believe Fairyloot have put out a book that I actually want to read. Oh my god, like, what is happening? But then Amina is offered a job that no bandit could refuse. She jumps at the chance for one final adventure with her old crew that will make her a legend, and offers a fortune that will secure her and her family's future forever. Yet the deeper Amina dives, the higher the stakes. There's always a risk in wanting to become a legend, to seize one last chance at glory, savour a bit more power, and the price might be your very soul. I mean, speaking of souls, I would sell my soul for this book. This is absolutely insane. This is now just one of the most gorgeous, beautiful, fantastically embellished books that I own. It's the maps, honestly. You could put like, just put full coloured foiled fantasy maps in every book ever. That is the way to my heart. I'm so pleased with this. I feel like Fairyloot is kind of hit and miss for me. It's so worth it for when they come out with something like this. So the next book I have is my Goldsboro book. Once again, we enter bubble wrap hell. Honestly, the suspense is killing me. What is this? So this is the Book of Eve, and I think this is one that I was excited for, that I wouldn't normally be excited for. It has yellow sprayed edges, but like, I mean, you can kind of see. It's a yellow and like a very, very, very dark sort of like teal blue. I can't tell if it's the intention, but they're definitely like, the blue is definitely bled a little bit, like it's feathered, like it's not a clean print. I don't know if that was the intent. It has very cute end papers though. So Beatrice is the convent's librarian. For years she shunned the company of her sisters, finding solace only with her manuscripts. I feel like this is relatable. I say from my hoard of manuscripts. Two women arrive outside the convent moments from death, and one of them gives something to Beatrice. And it is a bewitching book whose pages have a dangerous life of their own. But the men of faith want the book destroyed, and a zealous preacher has tracked it to her door. Her sisters' lives or her obsession? Beatrice must decide. The book's voice is growing stronger. An ancient power uncoils. Will she dare listen? I That's why I want to read this. Okay, look, I'm not into like organized religion or anything, but like when you make it dark and gothic and possibly like, I don't know, demonic, otherworldly, magical, who knows, this is exactly the kind of thing that I like. I feel like this appeals to like the little sort of like gothic magpie in me. So I'm definitely excited about this one. I don't know exactly, like I have to definitely be in the mood to pick this one up, but when that mood strikes, and it will, this is definitely getting read. Okay, and I think that just leaves Illumicrate as the last subscription box. So let's open this up. I can actually kind of already see this one. Is it showing up that this is like holographic? I turn off my ring light. Oh my god, yes, you can see it. Look at this. And it's on the spine as well. I do really love rainbows. I do really love holographic stuff and anything shiny. So this appeals to me. I will say otherwise, ooh, those are really detailed. These are very detailed end papers. These are gorgeous. I will say though, otherwise, Illumicrate do both adult and YA books. This definitely feels very YA to me. It almost kind of looks like a children's book, like a young children's book. Okay, I've changed my mind about this now. I'm impressed now. This has like this really lovely sort of like wraparound print. So we've got like a phoenix or something, a dragon, which is so gorgeous, and then a white tiger and a tortoise. And it kind of makes like a wraparound print. That's lovely. That's really pretty. I honestly probably would not have picked this up like for the cover. Like this does like nothing for me, but under the dust jacket, very pretty. So this says, in a fallen kingdom, one girl carries the key to discovering the secrets of her nation's past and unleashing the demons that sleep at its heart. Okay, more demons. Sounds interesting. Honestly, not massively high on like my like, I don't know, like interior book hype list, I guess. But this is like a really pretty, nice edition, and it's not something that I wouldn't pick up. It sounds a little bit generic, but like, it's a lovely edition nonetheless, and I still might get to this at some point if the mood strikes. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was our last subscription book, so I think that means that from there we are just onto the list of like normal books. I mean, to be fair, these books are like special too. They're just like not exclusives. They're not sprayed and foiled, but they're special to me. Case in point, I picked up this lovely collection of the Lord of the Rings and also a like reader's companion guide. These are so heavy for like no good reason. They come in like this beautiful slipcase. Partly I got them because they were like severely discounted, but also I do want to reread a lot of the Lord of the Rings book, and I did. You might be thinking like, did you not just get like the all-in-one edition in your last haul? And like, yes I did, but let me ask you this. Is it possible to have too many copies of the Lord of the Rings? The answer is no. It's just going to be another part of my collection. But as if that wasn't enough, I did also get this tiny, mini, cute, like, faux leather set, and this is so adorable. These are like tiny little pocket editions, and they're not paperback. I think they're flexi-bound. I forget like what the official name of like this type of book is, but it's like a little bendy, cute, very tiny text editions of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but like they have all the maps in, like they're complete editions. They're lovely. These were just so cute, and also again severely discounted, and I just think these look so nice in their little set. If I do reread them, especially if I go out of the house, this is the set that I will take with me. They're just so cute, and I really love like this beautiful like autumn like colour tone. It's gorgeous. And to go with them, and I actually picked these up first, and I picked them up in Whitby in one of my vlogs. I will link that if you kind of want to see like my little day out in Whitby, but like it's a long ass vlog, so maybe you don't want to watch it immediately after this either. So I picked up a dictionary of Tolkien and an atlas of Tolkien, and you can probably see the reason I picked these up is these were only $3.99 each. There is a bookshop in Whitby that like sells heavily discounted copies of books. I guess they just get in like extra stock from places, and so they're able to sell just like undamaged, like just nice editions of books just for like way cheaper than literally anywhere else. I cannot find these for any cheaper than £8 online, and I got them for less than £8 to get it, so honestly there is no argument to be made that could have stopped me from buying these. I'm kind of hoping that like as I continue to like, I visit Whitby a lot, and as I go back I'm hoping to like pick up the other ones in this series. These are all by somebody called David Day. They just kind of compile like information from Middle Earth, and I feel like it would be nice to have these. I will just want to immerse myself in the world completely, so if I do a reread I may also want to like, I know I have like the full like official companion reading guide, but I might also want like these. I don't know, I'm enjoying the like autumnal colour scheme going on here. Also from Whitby, and I was so sure that I had like hauled these in one of my last hauls, but I guess I didn't. It is this beautifully shiny collection of gothic weird horror short stories, and these are all gothic fantasy. So this is just like, this is like basically like my favourite colour. It's like a shade away pretty much. So this company is published by Flame Tree Publishing, and I've wanted some of their books for literal years. They take, I think, texts that are in the public domain and they kind of compile them into like these like themed anthologies, and they slap this like beautiful shiny foiled cover on. I know they have absolutely loads of them, and I've wanted some for years, and I finally decided when I was in Whitby, I was like, do you know what, I'd been really ill, and I was like, it's a treat yourself kind of day, so I treated myself to this book. You say like gothic fantasy, weird horror short stories? That appeals to me. That's definitely my thing. So I might end up like flipping through this or reading a couple every now and again. They also do like a gothic Christmas stories version, and I kind of really want to get that one as well. I don't want to really start a collection, but having a couple of them I can deal with. She says, watch this, come back in a year, they'll be like all of them. The next book in my haul is The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd-Jones. Pretty sure this is the US edition, because I don't like the UK cover. I'm not 100% sure what this is about. It says, oceans will rise, a kingdom will fall, but I did read this author's other book, which was called The Bone Houses. I don't necessarily feel like there was anything amazing or special about those books, but it was extremely easy to read, and it was entertaining. It was YA, but it was one of those where I feel like it set out to do a series of very kind of mediocre things, and it did them all well, with like none of the like weird YA tropey stuff that I tend to really hate in YA. I kind of wanted to give the author's next book a go and see if maybe it was just like a one-off, or whether I do actually like this author's maybe like style of writing. I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, this says the kingdoms of Wales were rife with magic. The main character has water magic. The prince has tried to bind her into his service, forcing her to kill hundreds, but all she wants is like a quiet life, far away from court politics. This is its part heist novel, part dark fairy tale. So I feel like it has the potential to be maybe fun. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it. The next book I have in my haul is actually one that I picked up because of one of you guys, and that book is Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. So I was challenged by Kenny over at Kenny Writes to actually pick up and read this book, and so I went out and got it basically immediately, and I'm hoping to get to this one really soon. I will link Kenny's video and challenge in the description down below, so you can go check her out as well. And thank you for recommending this to me. I'm sure I will have a lovely time. So yeah, total coincidence as well, I did just read Lost Souls by Poppy Z. Bright as well, which the timing of that was completely unplanned. But yeah, from what I understand, this book kind of follows, it's like a taboo, sort of like kind of controversial-ish maybe. It's Poppy Z. Bright, from what I understand, tends to do a lot of horror that really looks into like the darkest parts of like humans and people. So this mainly follows a serial killer, and I think it's kind of like a serial killer romance almost, maybe a little bit. Having read some of Poppy Z. Bright's other like romance, I don't know whether I can necessarily call any of it like romance, but we'll see. I believe they may be killing people together, but they're stalking one person in particular, and I will say, the synopsis on the back of this book is actually way more cut down than what I think was the original synopsis, so I don't really want to say too much. I do know a little bit more than what is here. I think we're in for a rough ride, but like, I'm here for it. It's very short as well, and like, you know, I like horror. I can do gore. I can do a book that dissects the landscape of torture and invites us into the minds of a serial killer in a riveting, unforgettable masterpiece of horror. It should be interesting. So yeah, thank you Kenny so much for recommending this to me. I will definitely get to this one soon. Should we stick on the theme with horror for a little bit? Because I picked up a couple horror novels. The next one is Clown in a Cornfield. I'm guessing this is a book that does exactly what it says in the tin. I'm assuming this is a horror novel set in a cornfield, and there will be a clown. I've heard this mentioned on BookTube, like, on and off, and it just looks, again, this seems like it's kind of like inspired by, like, older horror. It looks like cliche, but this is a modern book, and I'm assuming it's going to like have a few like fun twists and turns. It might be like a bit of a send-up of the genre. Maybe it'll be, I don't know, campy, but like I've heard that it's actual horror as well and a very fun read, so I definitely want to give this one a go. So this says Quinn and her father moved to a tiny town with a weird clown for a mascot, which like that is red flag number one. You can't just be moving to towns with clowns as mascots. Yeah, so this is talking about like a sort of divide between like the generations in like this like small dying town, I guess. But then there is also a homicidal clown with a pork pie hat and a red nose, and I'm guessing he's going to be killing people. So I think this might be like a YA, I'm not entirely sure, but like it seems fun, and you know, it's definitely the kind of thing that I would like to have like on hand for spooky season when I decide I want like a fun horror kind of read, because I'm running out of Grady Hendrix books. and I need something that kind of might fill that gap. Speaking of fun, like 80s inspired horror, oh, I picked up a bunch of these Stranger Things books. So I picked up Hawkins Horror, a collection of terrifying tales, and I love the cover for this one, but it's so hard to show you. Welcome to my ring light, I guess. So I think this one came out like pre-season 4, I'm not entirely sure. I'm just gonna blast through these though. So I pretty much just wanted to get Rebel Robin because I've heard that this one has like a tie-in podcast read by Maya Hawke, and I'm like, I would like to consume that. So I don't know whether that's the audiobook for this book or whether it's just like a tie-in product, I don't know. But I'm gonna listen to that. So I ended up getting this book, and then because I was getting that one, I was like, I might as well get Runaway Max as well, because again, I like Max and like I love the colours of this book, and it's very short. And then I was like, well, if I'm already getting like 3 Stranger Things books, I may as well also get Luke is on the Line, which is the newest one. It mentions D&D, and I'm like, if they mention Eddie's name once in any of them, that's all I need. I have to admit, I'm not even a fan of Stranger Things, really. I say that as someone who may or may not have tickets to the stage play. But like, I think it's a fine show. I think it's a watchable show. I think it's pretty mediocre, like it's a mid-tier kind of show, except for the vibe of season 3. And also, I feel like my favourite character from anything ever is now just Eddie from season 4. I'm so sorry, but like, how could you expect me, like a goth, like metalhead who plays like D&D and is like a complete nerd and loves Tolkien, to not immediately seriously connect with like that character? I picked up all of these books. This is not all of the books. I think there's like 2 more that look like this and a couple that look like this. And I did also pick up one of the Tales from Hawkins comics. I'm not massively into comics, but like I just really liked this is like a variant cover. Mainly picked this up because it was like £2, and it put me over like the shipping threshold. So I ended up picking them up. Like I'm interested enough that like I kind of want to read more like about, I like the characters and I like the series. I wouldn't really call myself a massive fan though. So yeah, I'm not really going to go through like what any of these are about because they're all like Stranger Things tie-ins, and like I don't know where spoilers start and end, to be honest. But at some point, maybe around Halloween, I will end up reading them. Okay, next in my haul, not my usual thing. That is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. And before I even start on this book, I want to say I had heard a few good things about this book, like ages ago. I had a look at it and I thought, I'm not going to pick it up just yet because first of all, it's like a paperback anyway. And again, because it's not fantasy, I was like, I tend to, if there's a book like this where it's just like a paperback, I would prefer to just buy it when I actually feel like reading it. I'm pretty sure Netflix picked this up and there's like either a movie or a TV series based on this now, so it is impossible to get a copy of this book that isn't either just a picture of like the characters, just like a screenshot from the show, which, why would I want that on my book? Do not give me the TV movie cover of a book. Every like other copy that looks like this from before it got made all have a gross, ugly, non-removable giant Netflix sticker that says like, being made into a Netflix thing. I also don't want that. So it took me literally until now to track down a copy of the book that did not have that ugly sticker. I kind of know nothing about this. It's like it says something about a woman on a road trip with her boyfriend. She has doubts about her commitment. I kind of want to go into this like as blind as possible. I've heard good things about it and I would just like to read it and enjoy it. Oh no, speaking of ugly covers, I am so sad about this. Like, I'm so sorry about this if you like this cover. So this is Penrick's Labours by Lois Master-Bujold, and before I even get into why this is like the worst cover, one of my favourite books ever is The Curse of Chalion, which is set in this world but it's like a separate series, so that's kind of like a mostly standalone book, whereas these books all follow a character called Penrick, and it's kind of like, this is the 3rd one. They've all been like recently re-released in hardcover with like new like cover designs. What is this? What is this? So sorry to the artist who made this, but this literally looks like, kind of like bad 3D. He looks like a low budget PC game, you know what I mean? And like, it's weird because the art of the ships at the bottom is gorgeous and like the art on the back is fine, and the art in the first 2 books is really nice. Like, it's beautiful. I don't know if they got somebody else to do this cover or what happened, but this is awful. I feel like the colours behind him as well just like really don't help this like 0 reviews on Steam looking kind of like cover. Like, I'm so sorry to be harsh, but like this is like one of the ugliest covers I have. Maybe I could just like print a new cover for it. Maybe I can just like Photoshop that out myself and like, I don't know, maybe my rebinding of this could just be just printing it a new cover. There's not really much for me to say about this book because it is like the 3rd one in like an ongoing series sort of thing, but I really like Lois Master-Bujold as an author, as a writer. I really like the fantasy world that she's crafted. And I will be getting to this series at some point. I'm trying not to start new series. I want to finish the other books in this world before I start on like the Penric series, but I'll get there. Okay, actually going from that to something that has a gorgeous cover, and I am biased and I'll tell you why in a minute, but I picked up Scalagrim by Stephen R. Babb, and this is a book from another indie author. And again, the reason I just want to like admire this lovely cover is my friend made this book cover. So I feel like this is really beautiful, lovely artwork. Yep, there it is, cover design by Waking of Skytree. So if you want to go check out my friend's really cool Instagram account, they make like really cool artwork. I will leave that linked below as well, but there's also a video game in production as well, like in this kind of art style, so like I'll leave links to that as well. I wanted to own like a physical piece of like artwork that was done by a friend, so I got this book. I have heard that, I feel like this author is not a very well-known author, but from the people that have read like his work, he's got like 2 things published at the moment. I think the people that know of him and like him, like he's quite well regarded in certain circles. I did read up on him a little bit, and I think he was like he was in like a I want to say like a metal band in the 90s, so I might have to like YouTube that. So this follows a man named Scalagrim who wakes up in the middle of a fight with only like a tiny bit of an idea of who he is, but otherwise he's lost his memory. One of the only things he does remember is that the love of his life is being abducted, but he can't even remember her name. So this, I guess, is his journey to save her and take revenge. It says he will face madmen, ghouls, tentacled horrors, witches both foul and fair, and he will race towards a final showdown that will have readers on the edge of their seats. I read in bed, so gonna be hard. But it is actually quite a short book, and all of the reviews for this were pretty positive. They all seem to lean positive, so I'm excited for this. I don't know exactly when I will get to this, and like when I say cover buy, this is literally the cover buy of all time, because I didn't even know what it looked like before I knew I was going to buy it. I just knew that my friend's art was on the cover, so. But promo is promo, so I reckon this could be a pretty quick read. Do you know what's not a quick read? Hunger of the Gods, book 2 in John Gwyn's like new like epic fantasy series. I still have not read The Shadow of the Gods, which is a much smaller book than this one, because this is a real chunk. I feel like it's because I want to read John Gwyn's other books first, but they're just like not as high on my list of priorities. Like I really want to read these, and I'm not as hype to read Malice. I will at some point, I definitely want to. I feel like I want to read those before I go on to read these. So this is book 2 in a series, so I can't really tell you much about what it's about, but the reason I have this now is because, again, with things going out of stock all the time, this is like less than a year old, and I bought this book quite a while ago because like my hauls take forever to get out. By the time I went to go get this, this is already out of production. They've already stopped making the hardback, and I'm like, you're not even giving us like a full year to buy a book. Like, I feel like you had less than 8 months to buy this before it was just like out of production. So I ended up picking this up on eBay, which means that it happens to come signed, because it's cheaper to buy a signed edition on eBay than it is to like just look for any old copy of the hardback, because they're going for insane prices. So I'm gonna have to pre-order book 3 whenever it comes out, so that I know I actually have it, because there's no way I could have like 2 hardcovers and a paperback. It can't happen. Okay, I feel like the next 2 books are pretty similar. Randomly, I don't even know how I figured out I wanted this book and where to pick it up. I feel like somebody else mentioned it, or it was mentioned somewhere, and I ended up getting it. And that is the Etymologicon, and this is a non-fiction. Now I am a little etymological hoe. I love language, I love etymology specifically. It's just like my thing. It's just like the thing in language that I just really like. I find it really fascinating. Apparently at some point in time this was the BBC Radio 4 book of the week. Is that particularly high praise? I don't really know. But yeah, this says it is a circular stroll through the hidden connections of the English language. It is by Mark Forsyth, who I guess goes by the Inky Fool. I'm literally picturing like a tiny little guy but with like an ink cap mushroom for a hat. I don't think he looks like that, but that's what I'm going to picture when I read this. So yeah, it's a book of interesting etymological links throughout the English language, which I realise might not be like everyone's idea of a gripping read, but like for me, it is. And in the same vein, I also picked up an emotional dictionary, and this is by Susie Dent, who is kind of like is she a celebrity? I'm not sure. She's on like 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown and stuff like that. Is she on like actual Countdown? I don't know. This is signed, however, because I picked it up from Waterstones and they had a signed copy. This is a lovely cute little book, very cute and shiny. So this describes itself as a human dictionary. Words for the misery of a bad haircut, the shock of cold water, pre-dawn anxiety, the best kind of hug. Flipping through it, like there are a lot of very mundane average words in here as well, so but I feel like it's going to be all things to do with emotions and like human experience and that sort of thing. Probably just like everyday stuff as well, and I feel like this, again, for me, might just be like a fun little read. Not the first time I would have just like read my way through a dictionary, but maybe this is my toxic trait. Yeah, another non-fiction, and another one that I might just like slowly work my way through just whenever I feel like picking it up. So the next book in my haul, this book has got to take up like a chunky percentage of this haul all on its own because it is thick. And that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. Oh, this book is huge. I say that like I'm not already reading like some pretty big books already. This is just a beast of a book, and the text is also very small. I think I have seen the TV show for this, and I think I've been to a few locations from the TV show. Some of this is set in Yorkshire. I am also set in Yorkshire. My favourite pub in York is like one of the settings for this book. I believe it's like either like the location of, or like the meeting place for like this like Society of Magicians in York. And in that pub, you might have seen it in like a couple of my vlogs before, they have like a copy of this book like out above the fireplace, and like other like memorabilia to do with this book. They've got like, they've themed themselves a little bit after this book. They're mentioned in it. It is like a very, very old historic pub. And I have been to like several of the other, like if there's like a stately home that's in Yorkshire that was like in this, I've been to that filming location as well. So I've been to a few places like from this book and also from the TV show. I don't really remember the TV show, to be honest. It's one of those things where I see it a lot because I'm in York a lot. I don't tend to like things set like in the real world. I know this is historical, but I don't know whether it would be a little bit sacrilege of me to not read the very popular book that has like characters in Yorkshire, literally in one of the places that I frequent all the time. Like, I'm in that pub a lot. At least like 5 or 10 times a year I'm in that pub. I kind of felt like I should pick this up eventually. I feel like this is one of the very few books I have ever been actually intimidated to read, and not because I think the book itself would be difficult, but it's a lot. The text is very small, it's a very, very long book. It's not high fantasy, which for any book this size, usually when I pick it up it is high fantasy, so if I start reading this I'm like locked in, and that's a big commitment, and I'm not the best at commitment. So I do know this follows like a society of magicians, and I don't think they can kind of do magic, but they can't. I think they mainly talk about like the theory of doing magic, and then some other guy turns up who can actually like really do magic, and it's about their like back and forth between like these two magicians. And I think like the French, there's like a war, or it's something to do with the French. They might be like sending magicians to fight in France. I'm not 100% sure on that. And I think there's like fae stuff in here as well. It's one that I do eventually want to read. I've just been putting it off. Okay, and the last regular edition of a book that I have is Slewfoot by Brom. So this is one that I wanted to pick up for a while. I think I kind of got it not too long after Halloween. I was still in that kind of mood, but like it was kind of too late to read it by then. It says this is set in 1666. An ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him Father, Slayer, Protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, Demon, Devil. Abatha is a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, and Slewfoot is the only one to whom she can turn for help. Together they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan that threatens to destroy the entire village. So I don't think this is necessarily the kind of story that I would tend to pick up, because like witchcraft and like Puritan American hysteria is like not typically the kind of thing that I'm like drawn towards. These do have bits and pieces of Brom's artwork inside, which are stunning, like the cover itself and like the back, and like it's pretty short, and I've heard pretty good things about all of his works. I think the one that I'm most interested in is probably Krampus, but again I cannot find a hardcover of that book because once they sell out in hardcover they never get printed again, and I really don't want to read it in paperback. I just really don't. So this is the one I have for now. This is the thing, it's the thing that I hate most about books, is that it's like if you literally don't buy them immediately you just can never buy them, and I really don't want to own like because it's a weird format. I really think I need to own these in hardcover. I don't want them in paperback because I just feel like they would be unwieldy, so I'll figure that out when I get to it. So okay, so I think that brings us on to the special editions, of which there are a lot. I mean, do we expect any different at this point? So I will start off with the very obvious, A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This one is the Goldsboro edition, although I do have several other editions in this haul, and one of them I'm not even going to bother putting in this haul. I'd pre-ordered the Waterstones edition because it has a bonus chapter, and then Goldsboro released this edition with beautiful blue sprayed edges, although does not have any end papers and does not have anything on the dust jacket. So other than the sprayed edges, I don't think this is even as nice as the Waterstones edition, to be honest, which is a bit of a shock. But yeah, then I did see that the Broken Binding were coming out with some, so prepare for those later. And also, potentially, the Illumicrate ones. Get ready to see this book like 4 times. So yeah, this is the Goldsboro edition. I won't really say too much about this, but this is the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, so this is the 2nd book, but technically the 1st book in the Roots of Chaos series by Samantha Shannon. They're fantastic. They're kind of like a... Priory was kind of like an East meets West feminist retelling of like St. George and the Dragon, kind of, sort of. So this is kind of more of the same. There's magic, there's dragons, there's wonderful, beautiful world building in this, and I am currently partway through reading this book, so I'm going to avoid saying my thoughts on it. But yeah, I feel like everyone already knows like what this book is, because, I mean, if you're on BookTube, if you like fantasy and you haven't heard about this book yet, how have you made it to this video without hearing about this? So I'm going to move on quickly, because there's not really anything special about this special edition other than the edges. And there are 2 more specially editions of this book. But also from Goldsboro, I picked up Emperor of Ruin. This is the 3rd book in Django Wexler's series. The first one was called Ashes of the Sun, I believe. Yeah, the series is called Burning Blade and Silver Eye. So this one is signed and it does have lovely red sprayed edges. However, the like hardcover is bare, and I know book 1 did have like a foiled hardcover, and I think book 2 might have also had foil, not entirely sure. I'm getting a little bit iffy about Goldsboro, to be honest. Like, some of their editions are still really, really nice. Like, when they do foils and when they do like interesting sprayed edges, they are really, really nice, and I do like being surprised with like a fantasy or sci-fi book like once a month, so I do tend to like them. But what I will say is a lot of the time they'll make like book 1 like a nicer edition, and then you're convinced to like buy the rest of the series in that same edition, and then they kind of like cheap out a bit with the rest of the series, or they'll like halve the amount that they're producing for the next book, or like with the Black Iron Legacy, they make book 1 and they make book 2 and they just decide not to do book 3. Yeah, so because this is book 3, I can't really say anything about this series, and I haven't read this yet. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, and I know that if I try and look at the synopsis to remind myself what book 1 was about, I will get spoiled, so I'm not going to do that. Also from Goldsboro, I feel like every book I pick up now I just have like a rant about. This is The Heroines, and this is by Laura Shepperson. This is a... Again, this is a beautiful edition of a book, and this one does have like some lovely like foiling on the front. This is another like Greek myth retelling. So this one is about Phaedra, the young bride of King Theseus. She's accused her stepson Hippolytus of rape, but because he's a prince and a talented horseman and a promising noble, people are like, it's the kind of thing where he's like this beloved member of society and she's just a woman, and it's the men of Athens who get to decide who's guilty and who's innocent. But the women know the truth is a slippery thing. After all, this is the age of heroes and monsters. There are 2 sides to every story, and theirs has gone unheard until now. So this is obviously going to have a pretty feminist take. I am interested in reading this. It's very short. Reason I have a rant about this is in at least one of my vlogs I've mentioned that I've been emailing Goldsboro since like mid-January, and I've never had a response, and it's about this frickin' book. So this was one of their Premier books. So Goldsboro have 2 subscription services. They have Premier, which is invite only, and then they have the SFF books, which is the sci-fi fantasy subscription, which I'm a part of. But they sent out an email to like SFF subscribers saying like, if you also want to get a copy of this book, we can add you to a wait list, so just email us, we'll tell you you're on the wait list, and then we'll email you when it comes out. So that was at like the end of January, and I responded to the email 4 minutes after I had received it. So like 4 minutes after it had been sent, basically. So you would think I would be on this waitlist, but like I never had a response, and like I emailed them after like a couple weeks just to check, like, because I didn't know when this was coming out for premiere, so I'm thinking timing's kind of funny, but I'll just email them and be like, am I actually on this waitlist? Because like you should have like a list. No response. Ended up emailing again, no response. So like 2 months go by, and I finally got a response on Twitter. Yeah, they tweeted me on the 24th of March. I feel like if I replied within 4 minutes, I should have definitely been on the waitlist, but the reason I think there was never a waitlist to begin with, and they were just like deleting those emails, was because this very quietly just went on general sale. Like, you did not have to be a subscriber to just buy this book. They just put it on the website. And the only reason I kind of like rant about that is because the whole point of like one of the perks of being on the subscription is that you're meant to get early access to like exclusive sales and things before they go on general sale so that they don't sell out. Also, I don't like the fact that I pay for a subscription and they ghost me for over 2 months and don't reply to any of my emails. Like, if I send an email saying like I'm literally trying to buy your shit here. I feel like of all the subscriptions I'm part of, even though Goldsboro probably put out more books that I like than Fairyloot, I feel like a lot of the time the customizations are subpar and I really don't like their customer service or like their kind of vibe as a company. Like, I'm getting less and less fond of them as time goes on. I ended up having to pick this one up on eBay and it actually turned out to be way cheaper than buying it from Goldsboro, even with my discount plus shipping. Like, getting this secondhand from eBay in perfect condition was literally just way cheaper than, I think it ended up working out being cheaper than if I'd been on the Premier subscription. So anyway, more Goldsboro books. I also picked up a copy of Clytemnestra. This is so shiny and gold. I feel like you can tell on these ones, these are pretty kind of warped, like here. So this is going to be a retelling of Clytemnestra, who is the wife of Agamemnon, and her story kind of takes place a bit before and a bit after the Trojan War, but I'm assuming this might have like some in-between bits as well, maybe. I've just realised it does have arrows on like the top and bottom as well. I do have like a lot of like Greek myth and Greek myth retellings like on my TBR now at this point. I do just really like them and I would like to read a lot more of them. I feel like they tend to feel summary to me though, so maybe this summer I will start picking some of these up. I say things like that all the time and they never do. But yeah, this was another one that I wanted and like might as well get it in like a nice shiny edition. Also in the same vein as that is Lady Macbethad. This is by Isabel Schuler. So this is a retelling of the story of Lady Macbeth, and this edition, very shiny. This came out, or when I saw the advert for this, I think I'd either just read or I was in the middle of rereading Macbeth. I feel like that kind of inspired me to pick it up. The end papers on this one, but they match the, like this effect, like this level of wraparound with the pages and the end papers. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, I like the customizations on this one. I don't think there's anything. No, there's nothing under the dust jacket. Apparently this transforms Lady Macbeth into an empathetic heroine. We'll see about that. Also from Goldsboro, this is one I picked up secondhand, but I'm pretty sure this has never been read, and I got this for really, really cheap as well. I think like £10. So it's too shiny to show almost, but it has beautiful sprayed edges. And this is The Story of Silence by Alex Myers. So I don't know too much about this one, but the back does say, there was once a lord who raised his daughter as a boy, so the family could continue to rule. But what began as deceit was found to be truth, and on that day a legend was born. So I believe this is about a man who, his only child is a daughter, and so in order to inherit, he says that he's got a son, and I think he disguises her as like a boy, but I'm pretty sure this is maybe a trans story in that they do actually, I think, identify as male, I think. So I did really just want to give this one a go because it sounds interesting, and there was another book that came out in the GSFF subscription that had like a trans main character, and I really wasn't interested in that like specific story. So this one actually came out like before I was on the subscription, so I figure I would like to pick up this one because I feel like it's probably like much more my kind of story. And I did say that I wanted to read like more fantasy stories with trans characters or about trans stories, especially since like one of them I was already thinking of unhauling, so I did want to pick this one up. Okay, and I think this is the last one from Goldsboro. This is The Tyranny of Faith by Richard Swan. This is the sequel to The Justice of Kings, which is a book that I read earlier this year and really liked. So this is the Goldsboro special edition, and it does have these really, really cool sprayed edges. So I won't say too much about this one already because it's the second book in the series, but the first book does follow a justice, which is kind of like a semi-magical wandering judge. Like goes about this like fantasy world and like dispenses justice, like interrogates people, solves crimes, that sort of thing, kind of. The story is told from the perspective of like his apprentice, kind of. And book one kind of starts out sort of as like a small town murder mystery that then like blossoms into grand scale conspiracy sort of thing. So I really liked it. There was like a weird demonic aspect to the magic system, so I really want to read more of that, hence this lovely copy. Okay, and I'm counting this as a special edition. I picked up this lovely shiny edition of the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, and I think this is a Franklin Library edition, I believe. It has a leather spine, and it has like beautiful like gold tooling on it, and lovely shiny end papers, and it's just so cute inside. So I did study the Canterbury Tales, but like I have not read it in years and I don't actually own a copy, so I wanted to own a copy, and this is like a lovely edition. I think this is kind of an older edition. Yeah, this is from 1981, and it does use the original woodcut prints from Caxton. It does have some flaws on it, but like, again, I got this for like really, really cheap, so I just feel like it would look nice with like my Dragonsteel books. I now have some Broken Binding books and some Illumicrate books, and I just don't know which one of the Broken Binding books is going to be the Roots of Chaos and which one is the other, whatever the other book set I've ordered is. So I guess let's start with Illumicrate, because at least I know what this is going to be. And I will say, this took forever to come. So of course it is the Roots of Chaos set by Samantha Shannon. And I will say, these are so shiny, but like together, next to each other, these look so stunning. This is the first time I've seen these books side by side. Absolutely stunning. I forgot how much I love the cover for Priory. I feel like there's something different about it, but I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the font? Maybe it's this shade of yellow? I don't know. There's something very slightly different about it. I feel like maybe. Let's just admire these end papers. These are beautiful. I think this is the sword Ascalon, and this is a spear, but I don't know the name of it. These do have ribbon bookmarks as well, which I really, really love. So this is the wraparound cover art for Priory, and it's beautiful. I think there's some, there's very, very subtle foiling here. Yeah, there's some gold foiling on the front as well. That's lovely. The end papers are also really, really nice. And this one is A Day of Fallen Night. I feel like we need a shorter title for it because, but like, what would you call it? Yeah, this one is A Day of Fallen Night. Again, this is beautiful. Here are the end papers for this one. These are just, they're really, really, really nice. I kind of actually prefer like the reverse of both books, to be honest. I know that Illumicrate is doing, I'm pretty sure they're doing a reprint of these books, and I think Broken Binding are as well, to be fair. So if you missed out, like, I think you can be added to the waitlist for like both of them, but I don't know if they'll be signed. But the thing is, I don't need that many copies, and I feel like I'm gonna have to decide between this set and the Broken Binding set, which I think is in one of the next boxes, so it might be this box. Oh yeah, I feel like this chunky set might be them. Once again, I'm gonna have so many black ribbons. So I think the one on top must be Priory, I am assuming. That's the difference. Yeah, the font is blue. The font on Priory is blue. The Illumicrate edition, it's gold. Okay, yeah, to be fair, the Illumicrate edition, I've just realised, has like extra foil, like on the dragon, and the Broken Binding edition is just like the standard cover. But I feel like the original dragon was foiled. This is what the end papers look like. I feel like the end papers maybe aren't as impressive. Actually, saying that, the dragon on this is really, really detailed and really, really lovely. I just feel like it's kind of harder to see from a distance. Like if I hold it back here, it kind of gets lost a little bit, but still very, very pretty. Beautiful end papers, which I'm assuming is the same on both sides. Yeah. But honestly, the Broken Binding covers, so stunning. I love the foiling on this. I just feel like they're so pretty. And the quote down the spine, I'm not going to read the whole quotation, but I will just kind of hold it here for a sec. And then this one must be A Day of Fallen Night. This one definitely does have foil on the dragon itself. I'm going to have to check my original copy of Priory, because like I feel like it did have foil, but maybe I'm just dumb. So again, this one does have beautiful little dragon sprayed edges. I feel like this one's like a bit easier to see at a distance. Although I will say there is some damage on mine, which is right on the dragon's face as well, which is really annoying. I don't know if you can see that, like even if I squeeze it, it has like this, there's like a nick or something, like it's got like a slash mark in the pages. Like no matter what I do, like that can't be part of the design, surely. I'll have to try contacting them, but like I feel like these were the books that I was most looking forward to in this whole haul, and I've never had a damaged book from the Broken Binding. Like this is absolutely gorgeous. The end papers are just beautiful. I have another two books, also from the Broken Binding, and I think this is like a duology. So I also picked up the Broken Binding editions of The Shadow Casket and The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. So this one I believe is book 1 and this one is book 2, and I think it's just a duology. I'm not sure if there's any more in this series, but if there is, I will get the next book, I guess. So these ones have pretty simple end papers, but I feel like they look nice. The end paper artwork is lovely though, and the main reason I got these was the foiling. I just really like that the Broken Binding put like unique foils under pretty much all of their books. If you put unique foiling on a book, it can make me buy like almost any book. So this is the foiling for the Ember Blade. It's like a really like ice blue. I don't know if it's like really showing up on camera, but it's like a really icy blue. And then this is the foiling for the Shadow Casket, and this is just, it's beautifully shiny. This is like a lovely like warm gold. And I feel like these look really cool together. So this follows a young man called Aaron, whose father is executed for treason. He and his best friend Cade are thrown into a prison mine, doomed to work till they die unless they can somehow break free. They're rescued by a man who hates Aaron but is oath-bound to protect him, pursued by inhuman forces. A revolution is brewing, and the Ember Blade is the key, but it's locked in an impenetrable vault in the most heavily guarded fortress in the land, and they have to steal it. That sounds fascinating. I'd completely forgotten what these books were between buying them and them arriving. Okay, this one's a very small book. Looks like this one is Frontier. I had no idea how tiny this was when I ordered it, but like, how cute is this? It's like a little present. Okay, so this is Frontier by Grace Curtis, and like, this is teeny tiny. I do know why I got this though. It's because the tagline is love, loss, laser guns. So these might be kind of hard to see, but this does have like a lovely sprayed edge, as well as some cute foiling and some nice end papers. So this is set in the distant future, and climate change has reduced Earth to a hard scrabble wasteland. Saints and sinners, lawmakers and sheriffs, gunslingers and horse thieves abound. One night a ship falls from the sky, bringing the planet's first visitor in 300 years. She's armed, she's scared, and she's looking for someone. So this says it is a heartfelt queer romance in a high noon standoff with Earth's uncertain future. And that sounds like the kind of thing that I would like to read. And last but certainly not least, and this took a very long time to get to me, it is my Dragonsteel copy of A Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. It has a shiny little sticker there to say that this is Secret Project #1. It comes with a cute little pin. Oh, this is like a spoiler warning. This is like a bookmark with like some character artwork, and it's on both sides. That's gorgeous. You really can't tell, but like it's kind of like glittery. It's like it's been painted with like metallic paint. It's lovely. There is also this artwork which says World Hopper on the back. And finally, the book. Oh, isn't it just beautiful? This is like a lovely buttery smooth like leather as well, or faux leather I think. But yeah, I just think like the cover design for this is really beautiful. It reminds me of like when you get like classic old like stories or like even children's stories. It looks really beautiful. So I don't know too much about what this book is about. I think I'd kind of like to go into like most of his secret project stuff mostly blind. Like, they were secret projects, so I didn't know what these were when I was buying them, and at this point I already have it, so I know I'm going to read it. So I will read the back, however, which says, in the middle of the ocean there was a girl who lived upon a rock. This was not an ocean like the one you have imagined, nor was the rock like the one you have imagined. The girl, however, might be as you imagined, assuming you imagined her as thoughtful, soft-spoken, and overly fond of collecting cups. This is lovely. This will go very nice with like my other Brandon Sanderson books. I kind of wish they had like special edges or something, but I suppose I could always get that like gilded myself if I wanted to. Okay, are we done? Am I done? Once again, my room is utter chaos. I also somehow lost a battery during this. I am not sure how I keep having hauls this big. I am not sure how I keep having hauls this long. While I would love to have fewer books in my next haul, who knows what that's going to be like. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, maybe give me that emoji of like the little dragon head, the little dragon face, just to rub salt in my wounds. It's really not how I anticipated reacting to those books, but like, it hurts. It really does hurt. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of my epic giant haul, until undoubtedly the next one. And maybe let me know if you hauled any good books this month. So once again, thank you so much for watching. That is all from me today, but hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!